Welcome to the DIY Goalie Podcast, where hosts and goalie coaches Nathan Park and Connor Monday share their insights on how to become a better goalie. Hey goalies, welcome to another episode of the DIY Goalie Podcast, and we are back together for another episode with myself, Nathan Park, and our co-host Connor Monday, and we are going to be rocking another 2-segment episode today. So I'm going to be kind of diving into the stick handling side of things. We kind of talked about it a couple weeks ago that we would be touching on it. So we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into that. And Connor's actually going to dive into a segment geared more towards the older goalies out there, the beer leaguers, and kind of how we can adapt our playing style to be a little bit more in line with the modern style of goaltending, but still make it work for you guys. So that's kind of what we're going to be diving into today. We're ripe in the middle of the off season, end of April here, kind of a bit of a fresh perspective from my end. The end of the hockey season gets to be a little bit of a grind, and now that we're kind of doing some of the off season stuff, it's kind of cool to get back into, the content side of things, the kind of, having some breathing room, taking a look at what we want to do with some content and kind of the things on the horizon, the bigger picture stuff, which kind of makes me a little bit more excited than I might have been 2 months ago in the middle of the end of the season grind. So, but yeah, that's exciting. How are you doing over there, Connor? The allergies holding up today?
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up. Yeah,
Yeah.
allergies were kicking my butt in the last couple of weeks here. I had a really bad allergy attack today, but no, I'm good. I am hopped up on Benadryl at the moment, so it's a grand old time for me.
So
And as
we're in
well
for
as
a doozy today.
yeah. Breaking news: Connor Monday gets fired from the DIY Goalie podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, beyond that, I mean, getting into watching some playoff hockey here. My Edmonton Oilers not doing so hot right now, and we could do a whole podcast episode on that, on why Oilers fans are still blaming Stuart Skinner for every frigging goal that goes in, but that's besides the point.
Yeah. Well, by
But
the time this episode airs, they might be either out or maybe they made a nice comeback and it's a close series again.
that'd be nice, right? But yeah, beyond that, I was watching a bit of the Maple Leafs and Senators game here, and this game number 3 as of recording this. So far, 2-2 at the end of third here, and seems like Minnesota and Vegas are up 2-1 for Minnesota right now. So that's interesting.
I will
But
say that game last night between the Caps and the Habs was an absolute goaltending clinic. That game too, Montembeault and Thompson, that was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch.
I didn't get around to watching that, but I did hear it was a good one.
Yeah.
I was out at a banquet dinner the other night, but yeah, no, I'm good. I'm surviving right now, so we're gonna do that. That's all we need. I mean, like if you guys saw me around this time last year when the allergies were bad, I mean, you can tell that like I just had my mic muted the entire time, just sneezing away. So
Yeah. Well, that's why this time last year you weren't a part of the podcast yet. So
well, fair enough.
that's the reason why. No.
Either one. But yeah, no, I'm excited for my segment today because I think it's like I feel like mine is just kind of a like I told you over text, like it's a cut and dry type segment that I don't think it really require. I don't think it necessarily needs to require a lot of in depth, but just more so just enough to like how to get by and kind of that aspect of it. But
Yeah, I think it's
that's
something that's not really talked about a lot either. I think like the older adult goalies kind of get left behind a little bit too.
yeah.
So I think it's good to give them some tangible things to take home. So
Exactly. But before we get into that, um, we'll start off with yours today and talk about my favorite whenever I am in the middle, our stick handling.
yeah, yeah, Connor absolutely loves to get the stick handling work as a coach in our sessions. Um, hashtag sarcasm. So yeah, this is. I find it interesting because I will be honest, I was not a very good puck playing goalie. That being said, I'm coaching goalies and trying to get them to play the puck. Um, I shouldn't say I was like terrible, but definitely there is room for improvement there. But the reason that we want to get into this and the reason why I think it's an important topic and some like an important skill to be competent in is that a goalie that can handle the puck properly can make a big difference in a game. Like it helps your defenseman out. It helps kind of you out. Like the puck gets out of the zone quicker most of the time if you make the right play. It just kind of overall puts your team in a better spot, puts you in a better spot, and just makes everybody's lives easier. So it's kind of something to build off of last week's episode when we talked about communication. They kind of go hand in hand because you're talking lots when you're playing the puck and all that stuff. But I find the biggest problem with stick handling is that too many goalies just shy away from it. They're scared to do it, and a lot of that comes from the the perception of it. Like coaches seem to be very adamant that their goalies stay in the net. Fans, parents, whoever, they're all like goalies should stay in their net because we have that bias view that when we see the big mistake happen where somebody muffs a pass and it goes right up the middle and the guy puts it in the wide open net, everybody loves to jump on the oh, he should have stayed in his net, why are goalies playing the puck, blah 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 blah. It's kind of the same, when we see the RVH get ripped apart. They don't see the hundreds of times that it's fine. They see the one that was misused and was a bad goal or whatever, right? um so the big thing is don't be afraid to play the puck. Don't be afraid to work on stick handling and puck handling. It is something that should be a part of your skill set, should be something that you're practicing and working on. And just like everything else, it just takes practice and repetition. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the better you're going to be and the more comfortable you're going to be. And those are kind of the two things. It's about the confidence and the comfort as well as the skill set of being able to do it properly. You look at guys like Mike Smith, Marty Turco, Marty Brodeur back in the day. They had the ability to change a game just based off of how they handle the puck. And nowadays, goalies, you can tell, are working on it more and more and are being more and more confident because we have seen an absolute skyrocket in goalie goals lately, both in the NHL and the AHL compared to what's been historically, um, or what history has said. Um, so I think that that's a good shift that we're seeing, that goalies are being more confident with their ability to play the puck. They're practicing it more. I still find it absolutely absurd that Mike Smith hit that cross ice, like little hole
Yeah,
in the All-Star
that was
game a couple
yeah.
of years
Well, no,
ago.
okay, no, that wasn't the one I was thinking of. I was thinking the Mike Smith backhand pass to McDavid with a whole bunch of traffic
Yeah,
in front. That
that was
was
pretty sick
I
too.
like
The
that one. I like
overtime
that one.
winner against San Jose. Yeah. No, I was thinking about the All-Star game. I think it was before he came to Edmonton when he was still with Arizona. And they did that obstacle course with the goalies shooting into that small hole on the other end of the ice, and he nailed it first try.
Oh yeah,
Um,
okay.
so yeah, it's pretty impressive. So that's kind of why like being a good stick handler is important because it can help you impact the game. So when you guys have some time, yes, we talk lots about skating, tracking, save execution, all that stuff, and those are still important skills to work on. But if you have some time, practice your stick handling too, especially even if you're at home. Like if you're not on the ice and you're like, oh, I kind of want to work on something, but I'm not sure what. Even just stick handling a ball with their glove and blocker is something that can help. If you practice taking shots with, a piece of wood in your backyard, shooting on the net or something like that with your glove and blocker, or a piece of like puck board or something like that, um, just on top of the grass or whatever. Anytime you get a chance to work on it is not a bad thing. So, couple tips, I guess. Did you want to chime in at all before I keep rambling here?
Yeah, I was just waiting my turn. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, I was going to say just I got a knock on this, and I mean, it's me. I always got a knock on everything on this podcast, but it's I kind of blame Steve Dangle with that term when he was at Sportsnet, and then everybody ran with it for a while. If you're a goaltender, tend the goal, which is 90% true. And like you said, um, you give up an absolute stinker up the middle with a bad pass or whatever, and everybody's going to tear that apart, and everybody's going to say, "Oh, he shouldn't have done that" or whatever. But I think part of it, when it comes to playing the puck, is not necessarily playing the puck itself. It's more so about reading the play, right?
Yeah.
Finding an open lane, right? I mean, we talk about it a lot, when it comes to making saves and being able to anticipate the next movement and everything else. But it's the same idea. When you go out to play the puck and you're behind the net or whatever, you take that extra second to open up and scan the play that's in front of you. You don't want to just catch it and then panic and then throw it up the middle. You got to take that time to open up, read what's happening in front of you, and then being able to make the right decision. So the best puck handlers in the world not only control the puck like we've seen, but are also able to kind of read the play and see what's happening in front of them. So I think that goes hand in hand a little bit there as well. And that's where that um, negative perception comes in about, no, stay in your net, don't touch the puck whatsoever. And then you get coaches on the same breath that want you to come out and play the puck side. So it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too in that aspect. But I think that's where a lot of that panic comes from, as well as that goalies go out and they play the puck and they don't know what's happening at the rest of the ice, because they don't want to be the one to give up the bad turnover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've done a couple of drills, particularly towards the end of last season, where we touched on that a lot. You do the simple dump and chase or dump drill or whatever, and goalie goes out, plays the puck behind him, and I tell them, just take that extra second to open up, scan what's happening in front of you. I mean, they know that they're going to be making that pass to the guy along the half wall, which is a safe option. But it's you open up and you turn around, you open up, you have the play in front of you, and then you're basically quarterbacking the entire breakout in that aspect, right? And you're able to scan the ice, see what's happening, and then be able to make the appropriate play. So I don't know if it's necessarily about not being a good puck handler. I think it's more so about just our goalies being able to read the play properly, or being able to generate the offense going the opposite way.
Yeah. So that's a good starting point if we start diving into kind of the actual technical side of things, and like the tips and advice. Head up is so important. And I see lots of goalies when we do these drills, their head is buried down at the puck at their stick. And I get it. I was there. I like as soon as I could become a goalie, I did. I had no player skills whatsoever, which is kind of why I was not a very good puck handler. Near the end of my career, when I was working on a little bit more, it got better, but I get it. I had my head buried down at the puck too, but as best you can, when you guys are working on your stick handling, when you're working on receiving a puck or a ball, if you're doing it at home or whatever the case is, and you're dishing it too, do your best to keep your head up. The more you practice that, the better you're going to be when you actually get into that position on the ice. Is have the head up, be able to scan the ice, and make decisions quickly. A lot of times, goalies get themselves into trouble when they hold on to the puck a little too long. They try and make the cute play, or they they try and fake out a guy who has a lot more mobility than you do in your pads. The
Or
forechecker
tr-
coming towards you.
or trying to saucer pass it like straight up the ice, or even then,
Yeah.
like like I had one kid ask because like we were doing that drill, kind of that breakout kind of behind the net option there, and I was just like, keep the puck on the ice, just put it right on put it right on the tape. Don't need to saucer pass it. And I literally had a goalie ask me, it's like, why can't we saucer pass it when the guy's along the half boards? It's like, well, because he's not going to control the puck, right? Like, why are you throwing it 2 feet in the air to a guy that's barely 2 feet in front of you?
Yeah.
So it's just kiss
Keep
method,
it
keep it
simple.
simple,
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So head up is a big one. The other thing too is I don't know why. Like, so when we play out rebounds at our goalie sessions, a lot of goalies, they're so excited to play out the rebounds too. Like, if they're not in the net, and that's fine. Like, I totally encourage that. But what baffles me is like probably a quarter of the goalies that I work with, when they do that, the first thing they do is drop their glove to the ice and then go and play out the rebound. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you do that in a game? Like, if you stop a puck behind the net and you go to pass it, do you leave your glove in the crease and go back to stop the puck? Like, keep your glove on, work on stick handling with your glove on, and find the proper way for you to hold that stick with that glove, whether it's kind of twisting the wrist back a little bit or holding it down, but keep the glove hand down on top of the stick for leverage, for power. And as best you can, wrap that glove around the shaft to actually be able to get some sort of control on it. Like, a lot of goalies, they just use their blocker hand. Like, the glove hand doesn't even touch the stick. And it's like, that hand is more so just for, the control, like the wrist action to be able to control where you're making that pass or that shot. And the glove is where a lot of the stability and the power comes from, right? So get comfortable using the glove when you're stick handling, when you're passing, when you're shooting, and find what works for you. If you need to test out a couple different break angles on your glove to figure out what works, do that. The other thing too is, since we're talking about gear a little bit, I found personally, and I know lots of goalies have said the same thing, the shorter your stick is, the easier it is to make those passes. And for some reason, there are a lot of people out there that are dead set against cutting down the shaft of a goalie stick because of balance or whatever the case is. But I know it's been proven that, or it's like companies have come out and said that there is no real like balance point on a stick. You can cut the shaft of a goalie stick down a little bit. Obviously, if you cut it right down to like where you're holding it, that's a little too much, but you can cut it down a little bit and it makes it a whole heck of a lot easier to handle the puck and make that proper pass and shot. And I don't know if Connor wants to come and you know, I guess rebuttal that a little bit, but
Well, I mean, I don't have the science to back it up, but I know I am one of those guys that are like, no, don't mess with the integrity of
you're
the
a
stick.
feel
Don't.
guy, hey? You just like the feel of a
Yeah,
brand new manufactured
I'm
stick.
everything that you'll hear is just I feel statement.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean, like,
This
I don't
is
know. I
my
mean,
way.
yeah, well, um, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily have any science or anything to back this up, and like, I'm not a gearhead whatsoever. But that has just been, um, one of those things that like I've heard throughout the entirety of my career is don't cut the stick, and so I can't say yes or no on it. I can only say that I am one of those negative Nancy's that would say no, don't do it.
You've been
But
indoctrinated.
no freedom of creativity whatsoever.
Yeah.
But no,
Uh,
no, I don't know. I just want I would just throw my 2 cents in there and be like, I would just say no. Um, I would just say like if that's the case, then like I would just get a new stick entirely in that aspect. Maybe go in like a paddle size inch down or something. But
no.
I don't know. Just I think just I know I'm also one of those people that are like you kind of have to deal with and play the cards that you're dealt. in that aspect. So I don't know if that necessarily applies, but I would just say it's like because I'm 6'1", I play with a 26, 27 inch paddle, right? And I'm not gonna be the one to say that my puck handling is the greatest because it's absolutely not whatsoever. But for me, it's more like I guess again I feel that it's more so for me that it's more comfortable, because of my height, and so the stick plays to the advantage of my height, and so I'm able to utilize it accordingly. I was never really one to really work on my stick handling or anything to have that control.
Yeah. I mean, we also grew up in an era though where it was bigger is better on everything. Now, if you were to play, you'd probably be told to rock a 24-inch paddle as opposed to a 26 or 27.
Yeah,
I'm 5'10" and I used to rock a 26 or a 27. And,
right.
you know, but that was the
Short
era
king
we
over
played
there.
in. Yeah, I know, right? So some other things when it comes to the technical side of things, a lot of things what I tell my goalies is the big one is to keep the elbows out off of your body in front and your hands. A lot of times goalies try and tuck their elbows back. They have no real cushion to the puck. They don't have a lot of control because their hands are tight to their body. It's the same when you make saves, right? You're a lot more free to move. It's a lot easier to see. You've got more mobility when your hands are out in front. It's the same thing when you're talking about playing the puck. If you can have the hands out, the elbows out, you've got a lot more control. You've got a lot more ability to cushion a pass or a dump in or whatever the case is. And it just makes it a lot easier to actually make that play. So keep those elbows out in front, keep those hands out in front. And again, have that glove on that stick for when you are catching a pass or stopping a puck. If you need to, if it's a hard dump in, you can even try and get your body in the way as well, like seal the boards a little bit with your body. You got to be careful with that one just because of the weird bounces. Um, but the big thing is just making sure that you can do what you can to give yourself the best ability to control that puck. So the hands, elbows out in front is a big one. The other thing that I say too a lot, and I know it's almost like novice or I guess like U7 hockey, but like kind of pointing your stick to where you want it to go, right? Like in your follow through of your pass, point that blade to where you want it to go. That'll help you be a lot more accurate. And as Connor said, try as much as you can to keep it on the ice. Get that stick to or tape to tape pass right on the stick and not trying to sauce it all over the place, right? The only time that you should really try and be saucing the puck is either A, you're going for a goalie goal, or B, you have to go for a high and hard rim because you just have no options. But that's the other thing is a lot of goalies default to the rim. Don't do that unless you absolutely have to and you have no other options. It's way better to keep possession and make a tape to tape pass. And again, that goes back to the communication thing we talked about, but being on the same page as your team when it comes to a breakout ahead of time can make such a big difference. But if you know what you're doing, 90% of the time, you probably won't need a rim. I just pulled that number out of the air, but roughly, more
I
often
feel
than
like,
not, you will
yeah,
not need a high and hard rim.
9-0 is like the our favorite number today. But
Yeah, 90. Yeah.
so I have a couple things. Not that you're wrong, but it's so like, what I say, about that as well is, you don't want. I would honestly say like you don't. I've seen a lot of goalies where you have like they basically have their hands like or like their gloves basically touching each other, right? So they go
Yeah.
into like this T-Rex mode here, and they're wondering why they're not getting any good passes off, and it's
Baseball.
like, well, because yeah, it's because you don't have any control, right? This is your
Yeah.
power hand. This is your top hand's a power hand, bottom hand's the control hand, basically. Same thing as we teach players, when they're shooting. So you want your hands essentially spaced enough apart along the shaft of your stick that you're going to be able to get good power and good control in when you're controlling that puck. The other thing that I talk about as well is just the weight transfer. of it as well. You're basically when you're bringing that puck across your body, right? So you're transferring your weight from your back leg over to your foreleg when you're following through, right? And that's also where a lot of that power is going to be coming from as well. And then lastly, talking about rimming it around the boards, I have a funny story because I can laugh at it now, but at the time I hated it. Was one time where I went out to go play the puck in the corner. I had one of the opposing team's players coming towards me, and so I turn around and I go to try and play it along the back part of the wall behind the net, and I got enough mustard on it that it was in the air. Tried to rim it around the glass to just get it away, just to open ice, and I ended up hitting the stanchion
Yeah.
right behind the net. And so it hits the stanchion, jumps over the net. Nowhere, defense is nowhere to be found. I'm all the way in the corner basically because there's no trapezoids, and ended up giving it away right to the guy who was coming to attack me, and he ends up scoring. So that's probably a prime example right there why you don't want to rim it around, especially around the glass, as much as
Yeah.
best as you can. But again, just the boards in general, because depending on what rinks you play at, sometimes those boards are soft, sometimes those boards are a little harder there. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's what would be my 2 cents, at least when playing the puck in that aspect.
Yeah. No, the weight transfer was going to be another point because that's a big one, especially when you're backhanding the puck.
Oh,
The
definitely.
the way to get power on a backhand is transferring that weight through from one foot to the other and really using your core to kind of help get that umph on that puck. Because if you just try and use your arms, you're not really going to get a whole heck of a lot. The other thing
Even
too,
even then,
yeah,
sorry, just to kind of jump on that quickly. Not necessarily with the weight transfer, but I don't know. I've heard it from one other coach that I used to do summer camps with. Is that you're basically also like rolling rolling that puck across the blade of the stick.
yeah,
And so I don't know how necessarily true that is. I mean, every time that I've done it, it worked. But you're basically, especially on your forehand, you're starting it at the heel of your stick, and by the time it releases off of your stick, it's ending at the toe.
yeah,
Right. So that's another thing to consider as well. Because I think a lot of goalies as well is that the puck's at the toe of their stick, they're just kind of flicking it. They're slap passing
yeah,
it in a sense, right? There's no again control of the puck in that aspect. I mean, even if they have everything right when it comes to how they're holding their stick and weight transfer across the body and such, but I mean, like if the puck's starting point on the stick is at the toe or even in smack dab in the middle ish, then you're still not going to get a good shot off, for lack of a better term.
yeah. Well, and the other thing with that too is I see a lot of goalies try the flick where like their glove is under the stick and they basically just try the little lift flick into the air. And again, with that one, there's not a lot of control there, not a lot of power usually. Like the younger goalies, they love to do it because they're like, oh, look, I can raise the puck. And it's like the first time that they actually raise the puck, and it's great. And that's a good like stepping stone, but that shouldn't be like your fallback technique for playing the puck. You need to get used to like a regular hockey shot as best you can with that goalie glove.
Right.
Um, and for those goalies that maybe shoot one way, but their goalie stick is the other hand because, you catch the other way as opposed to which way you shoot, try to avoid the whole flipping your stick around and doing all that stuff. Like as best you can, work on the hand that your goalie stick is, because it just makes things awkward. It takes more time when you're trying to do these weird kind of flip around things, and I know some goalies have made it work and that's great, but most of the time it's a lot easier to just work with what you have and build on that and make sure that that's part of your skill set because that's the stick that you have and that you're using. And kind of the last thing that I have for the puck playing is go for it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like the problem is I find like I've heard it's different like overseas, kind of in Sweden, Finland, those areas. And I'd love to get more of a perspective on that. But for sure here in North America, we're so critical on mistakes that people are scared to make them. And this is not just goalies, this is, defensemen, forwards, whatever. Um,
Life.
yeah, life in general. But everybody's so afraid to make a mistake because like there's such a negative connotation around mistakes. But me, if I'm working with you as, a goalie coach, you giving up a puck in the middle of the ice in a U13 like house league game, oh well. Like it's a learning experience. Now you know what not to do, but it's not going to affect the whole trajectory of your career. I had a pretty solid career. I played 4 years of junior, 2 years of college, and trust me, I gave up the puck quite a few times throughout my career. And I still managed to make it to a pretty high level and play for quite a while. So um, go for it. The best way to get better and to figure out what works and what doesn't is to do it in a game. Now, obviously, don't be trying anything like major crazy like spinoramas and the Patrick Waugh deke to like the red line and all that stuff. But don't be afraid to go behind the net, stop a puck. If that's all you do to start before you're comfortable making plays, do that. Just get there, stop the puck, get back to your net, and then work from there. Stop the puck, try a pass to the corner when your defenseman's there. Then from there, try and pass to the half wall or whatever the case is, right? Just build up that comfort, but there's no better time to see how it goes than in an actual game, and don't be afraid to make that mistake. And if you're one of those goalies out there that your coach is going to absolutely rip you for making a mistake, I'm sorry you're in that situation. That shouldn't be how it is. You might have to adjust things a little bit then, but as best you can, go for it, right? Connor and I give you the green light. Just have fun with it and go for it.
um, I guess just a message to the coaches out there. Um, Again, we talked about it. I've talked about it beforehand. Talk about incorporating goalies into practice and having a goalie friendly practice. This is another one of those aspects where you can include your goalies in your practice, especially if you're doing breakouts.
Yeah.
Right, puck's dumped in. You can have your goalie stop it before or after the goal line, and then they can be essentially that quarterback, like I talked about earlier, in that breakout option. Right, so that's being handed to coaches on a silver platter. Basically, if you want a goalie that's comfortable playing the, or if you want a goalie that plays the puck, or if you want to incorporate your goalies in playing the puck, doing a breakout drill is probably number one option in that aspect in terms of doing that. Right, so there's no reason really for coaches to get upset at goalies in that aspect for playing the puck, because I mean, again, like you watch, I mean, you watch as well, you know, NHL games, and um, let's say the Toronto Maple Leafs, because I was watching them earlier, or we're on a penalty kill and they go to dump the puck in, or just to throw the puck in the Ottawa zone. You'll have some goalies that'll come out basically a couple feet before the blue line just to stop that puck a little bit shorter, so then the defense can turn around and attack again the opposite way. Right, coaches, incorporate your goalies in your power plays, incorporate your goalies in your penalty kills, incorporate your goalies in your breakouts, because those, for me, would be the three best options to incorporate them in, and for your goalies, again, also to be able to get comfortable in terms of playing the puck at the same time.
Yeah, that's a classic one too. Yeah, on the power play is coming out and hitting that guy who's posting up at the far blue line on the opposite side of the benches because everyone's doing a wholesale change, and you never know when you can spring a guy like that. Like we've seen Shesterkin have a couple nice assists over the last couple of years, just springing guys like that. And I know, like obviously we talked about him, but Mike Smith too, that one with McDavid. The good old Dwayne Rollison
Yeah,
bat out of the air back in the day.
backhanded up
But
the middle, yeah,
yeah,
for
but
for McDavid breakaway, and he scored.
Yeah, but that's kind of the tie-in to like what we talked about last week with communication and getting everybody on the same page ahead of time so that you're comfortable in those situations and you can go out and make a difference. And coaches, incorporate your goalies, but also allow them to make mistakes. They'll happen. Don't berate them for it. Just say, let's do it again, try it again, hit your spot better or whatever. Like don't
Yep.
don't discourage them from doing
That's
it.
that's being handed it to you on a silver platter, basically.
Yeah, it's
So
it's there for you. We've outlined it.
yeah,
All
exactly.
right.
And if you
Well,
have any questions about it, you can email us at goalies@truenorthgoaltending.com. But
yeah.
anywho,
All right. That's all I got. Take us
that's all
away,
you got.
Connor.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for watching.
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
Connor's gonna go have a sneeze attack.
yeah, honestly, like, there was a couple of times throughout that whole monologue where I thought about it, but okay, so yeah, so talking about older goaltenders, um, kind of attributing themselves or getting used to rather playing the newer style of goaltending. And like I said at the start of this episode, there's like I'm not like it's kind of cut and dry for me in that aspect because for me I think there's only two or three things that older goaltenders need to focus on the most. And for me it's getting more used to the idea of tracking the puck, getting more used to the idea of proper rotation, and getting more used to the idea of better save execution. Okay. We talked about it a lot with our younger goalies and in other episodes and stuff. But I mean, like a lot of beer leaguers, a lot of older goalies will have played like the old Martin Broder, the I'm blanking on everybody else's name now, Roberto Luongo, um, basically the
Even
1990s to 2010s ish style of goaltending. You know, the leg kicks and the Dominic Hassicks and everything else and such. For me, older goalies right now, like they're at the stage in the game where like they're set in their ways. They're used to doing what they're doing, and that's fine because it's working for them. And you don't want to change what works. But I think you can just build on that more, where getting more used to the idea of tracking the puck, okay, which is watching the puck into your body, watching it out, getting used to the better idea and getting used to a better idea of movement, rotating around the body, bringing the legs underneath. Um, and then again, same thing as well as, save execution. Where do you want your rebounds to go necessarily? Right. So I mean, like I don't necessarily have anything on that front. I would just say like that's if there's anything to upgrade in your game as an older goaltender, I would just say it's those three things that what you would what I would suggest for them to focus on, because they know how to skate, they know relatively how to move, they know how to make saves. But it's more so at that point now, just kind of maybe just fine tuning or just throwing away the idea of just throw a leg kick out there and say, I hope this hits me, or throw you know, somersaulting around in the crease or whatever, right? It's just like if we're able to um, streamline how you're moving in the net, getting more used to the idea of tracking the bot or tracking the puck in front and making your saves in front of you, bringing the head and back shoulder down, leaning, shifting into your saves. For me, I would say like there's not much really more to say beyond that.
yeah, I I boil it down to one word and it's efficiency, right?
Yeah,
Um but the thing is, my advice when it comes to the older goalies is pick your battles.
yeah,
And it's going to be situational. Like figure out how it works for you. Like for example, we have a 62-year-old client who at some point in his life had some skydiving accident and broke his back. So he has a lot of mobility issues. but good for him. He plays goal, he plays out, he does mixed martial arts, he does motocross. Like, I don't know how, but he makes it work.
Yeah.
But when we work with him, like he can't butterfly. Like, or very seldom can he get both knees down at the same time in a butterfly.
Yeah.
So obviously we're not going to go to him and try and work on just butterflying until he can, because it's probably not going to happen. So in his situation, it's okay, how can we make what you're doing work a little bit more efficiently, or be a little bit, smoother, a little bit better, whatever, right? Because
Hmm.
you and I both grew up in an era where we would go to goalie schools and they were still teaching the half butterfly. And it was on its way out, but I remember going to goalie schools where we learned the half butterfly and pad stacks.
Yep.
And the thing is the way goaltending has changed is it's become a math game. It's become the percentages, it's become the efficiencies, how, we can get the job done with the least amount of movement possible. And so that would be my suggestion, is to figure out how you guys can play your current game in a more efficient manner. Cuz the big thing for me, like with the half butterfly as an example, if you just, even at home, if you go down on both of your knees and you lift one leg up, so, or lift one knee up, feel how your body moves. Your body actually pulls away from that leg you lifted up. But more often than not, as goalies, if we were making a half butterfly save, that knee that's up is the side that the puck is shot to. So that means if you're making that save selection with one knee up, your body is moving away from that puck, which is now making it harder for you to make that save, because now you have to reach farther. And if you do make that save, it takes you longer to get to your rebound, because now you have to bring your body back over to where your rebound is and make that movement. So, in that instance, how can we figure out a way to make that a little bit more efficient for you? Do we maybe figure out, like, so in the case of our 62-year-old client, what we kind of try and work with him on is trying to get the leg down that's on the side of where the puck is going to, instead of having that leg up, right? Because then at least you can shift your body a little bit more and be able to track that puck and find that rebound a little bit more. And then, yes, the rotations is huge and all of that stuff, like your lines through the crease. So basically, is if you can figure out a way to make your game have less unnecessary movement to it, and figure out a way to be more efficient in getting to the puck and getting to your spots, you can still make it work with kind of the old school style, especially playing like beer league with kind of older school style players as well. That's fine and all that stuff. The big thing is, though, is just understand that there's a reason why goalies, like, goaltending is how it is now, and we aren't seeing skate saves and standing saves and half butterflies anymore. And there's a reason for that. It's a numbers game, it's a percentage game, and it's all about the efficiency. So find ways to kind of make that work for you and your current situation.
Yeah, efficiency is a great word to kind of capitalize that on. Just efficiency in your movement, if able, and efficiency in your save execution. And
Yeah.
that's, I would say that's just across the board in general. Doesn't matter what age per
Yeah.
se. But go ahead.
That being said, big props to all you guys, because I was there too. The athleticism I find from kind of that past generation, big props.
Yeah,
I, as much as it makes my goalie coach side of me cringe, the, like, just goalie and fan part of me is like, I love it.
yeah,
I love the head first dive across. That's
Yeah.
big saying.
I played in a Memorial game the other night, and it was a fun, just kind of not necessarily like a free for all game, but just kind of like a gentleman's game. And yeah, watching the other guy down the other end just kind of do what he did, because he was obviously like an older style ish goaltender, but the way that he was able to get across purely on athleticism alone made me excited down on my end, and then they would come down on my end, and then they would get scored on. But we don't talk about that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a little bit of a lost art, the whole athleticism side of things, but
it is, and that's where
the
the
desperation.
yeah. Well, I would just say like the stigma about robotic goaltenders comes from, but I've
Yeah.
talked about that
Yeah, I'm
in a
sure we will
previous
again.
episode. But oh, absolutely, 100%. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I've it was an eye opening experience for me yesterday, or last night rather. Just I don't know. Just it was eye opening to say the least, and it's a little frustrating at the same
Connor's
time.
like,
But
oh man, I'm out of touch and out of shape.
yeah, yeah, basically, and the frustrations came out, but it was
Oh,
still fun
did you
nonetheless.
break a
But
stick or
I did not. I came
uh,
close. There was chips coming off of the stick, so I'm sure it's on its last legs at this point. But
yeah,
that's besides the point. Yeah, I don't
awesome.
know. Like I said, like I didn't really have much for that particular segment. I think for me it was just kind of focusing on or building on top of the building blocks that older goalies have, and it's just fine tuning more so and being more streamlined in terms of those three things that I had talked about: tracking, movement slash rotation. I would say rotation more so, and then the save execution part of it afterwards, which the
Yeah,
tracking kind of comes in hand with that. But that's
yeah,
just kind of my three things there. So I mean, like there are kind of ways to deal with it. I mean, again, like just some of that off ice stuff as well. You know, um, uh, you got like the visual edge and the NHL sense arenas. If you are able to do those, and then you even in terms of like the movement or getting used to the rotation side of it. I mean, if you have some open space in the living room or something, get used to kind of rotating those hips a little bit more than maybe you could, because then that can and will translate into the game if you are mobility able, I guess is not the word that I'm looking for, but
mobile.
mobile. If you are physically able, then
Yeah, there you
that's
go. You just
that's
combined the two.
yeah, exactly, right. I
Yeah,
mean, it's the same thing. Everybody knows what I'm
yeah,
talking about, but
um,
yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. Like it doesn't need to be NHL caliber by any stretch, but I think just if that would be just the main thing. If you are able to be a little bit more mobile in your game, I think would just go a long way. Lord knows
yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah, and take care of that body too. I give
Yeah,
full props to you guys out there. Like, I'm 30 now. I haven't played a game since, well, I haven't suited up aside from making the videos for the course in 6 years. And I couldn't do it. So props to you guys for
yeah,
sticking it out, the older guys. And keep doing what you love. Like, I love hearing stories like that. We have clients who, started playing hockey and they just hopped right into goaltending in their 50s.
yeah,
And it's like props to you. And I know, like, when I first started True North goaltending, I initially had more interest from adult goalies than youth goalies. And a lot of people kind of chuckle when I said that to them, or they'd laugh a little bit. But it's like, hey, it's no different than trying to learn how to play guitar or play piano or whatever when you're,
yeah,
in your 50s or 60s or whatever, right? It's just like a hobby or an activity or whatever. And everybody wants to get good at the things that they love doing. So seeking out that goalie coach and help too, like, a lot of goalie coaches out there will accommodate adult goalies, even if they don't necessarily advertise it or anything like that. So if you guys are looking for the help, reach out to whoever is local to you. We work with adult goalies, so if you're in the Edmonton area, come check us out. But props to you guys. I'll I'll give you lots of love. I love those stories.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, we haven't done, like, I don't think you and I have done like a proper adult goalie session in a while,
Well,
like how we used to in the summer or in the every Sunday at
no, like
7
we
a.m.
don't
or
do the
6 a.m.
yeah, we don't do the group ones anymore. That's because we have the facility. We don't really do the
Yeah.
group youth ones anymore either. All right, well, bring us home.
Okay, sounds good. Well, anyways, thank you very much for watching. If you are watching over on the YouTube side of things, over at the DIY Goalie, make sure you go follow us on our social media platforms. Everything at some point will be under True North Goaltending, so just go check us out over there, over on Instagram as well. It's all YEG Goalie Coach. Make sure you guys go head over to our website as well, www.truenorthgoaltending.com. A lot of exciting stuff there. I believe we still have some open spots for our summer camp that is happening in both July and August. I
Yeah,
think more so for the August one.
yeah, our 5-day one is half booked already. So I
See,
was gonna
there
make
you
a
go.
post
So
about that, but
yeah, see,
yeah,
there you go. We're halfway there. We're living on a prayer, so it's all fine and dandy there. Um, and yeah, just make sure you go follow me on Instagram as well at MondayGC. I'm terrible at posting stuff, but I try to as much as we can. Beyond that, make sure you like, share, subscribe. The more goalies that we're able to bring in our little community here, or even just kind of just being part of the goalie union in general, and just getting having an extra voice out there is always welcome as well. As always, goalies, make some saves. This was a DIY Goalie podcast brought to you by True North Goaltending. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.